Welcome to another Spanish session. Today we're going to be talking about there is and there are in Spanish, all the different forms, okay? I think it's really useful because we use this structure. In English we use it a lot, but in Spanish we also use it a lot. So let's get started. Okay, so first let's talk about what does I mean. I means there is or there are in Spanish. Now, no I is the negative of that structure. There isn't or there aren't. And we use these expressions or these words to say that something exists or it doesn't exist. For example, we have hay un libro. There is a book. No hay sillas. There aren't chairs. And actually, if we see these in comparison to English, I think in Spanish is a little bit easier because in English you have to think about plural or singular, so you put is or are. But in Spanish, we don't have to think of that. We just have to say I. One way in which we can use I is by specifying the number of things that there are. Here, for when there is an singular thing that is masculine or a singular thing that is feminine. So we use hay un before a noun that is singular and that is masculine, and hay una before a feminine singular noun. And we have these examples. Hay un lápiz, because lápiz is masculine, so we use un lápiz. There is a pencil. Un lápiz masculine singular. Then on the other side, we have hay una mesa. Mesa is a noun that is feminine in Spanish, so that's why we have to say una, okay? So we have to remember the gender agreement, okay, that it does matter in here when we're talking about one thing only. Now, this other one is using unos o unas, hay unos or hay unas. In here, what is important is to remember that this unas or unos means some. We're not specifying the amount. We're not saying the number of things that there are. And we use unos for masculine plural nouns and feminine for plural nouns, unas. For example, hay unos libros. That means there are some books. We're not specifying how many, just some. Hay unos lápices. There are some pencils. And hay unos estudiantes, there are some students. Again, we're just saying some, we're not specifying the number. And these are because these are masculine. Then on the feminine side, we have hay unas ventanas, there are some windows. Hay unas mesas, there are some tables. Hay unas sillas, there are some chairs. Unos and unas means some. Now, a parenthesis here. I just want to add some vocabulary that we can use when we're learning this structure. And it's vocabulary about rooms and places. For example, in the house, la cocina, the kitchen. That la cocina means the kitchen with the article, right? El dormitorio, the bedroom. That actually here, at least in Costa Rica, we say el cuarto. When we say el cuarto, we're referring to the bedroom, okay? Then we have el baño, the bathroom, la sala, the living room, el comedor, the dining room, and then city places. We have la plaza. It's a plaza, or the plaza, right? La calle, the street, el parque, the park, la escuela, the school, la tienda, the store. Now, classroom objects that I doubt you're still in high school or in school, but anyway. So, la pizarra, the whiteboard, la silla, the chair, el escritorio, the desk, el libro, the book, and door, la puerta. That actually door could also go in a house, but well, that says rooms in the house, no objects in the house, right? Okay, let's move on. Now, what are some of the things that can come after I? I list three in here: countable singular, countable plural, or uncountable. All right. So if you have a countable singular, we already talked about them. Hay un or hay una plus the singular noun, and we have hay un libro, hay una mesa. Then the second case is countable plural nouns. That will be Hay libros. That just says there are books. We're not saying how many, just there are books. You can put quantifiers or quantifiers, numbers. For example, hay dos libros. There are two books. And hay sillas would be there are chairs. Again, we're not specifying the number, but we're just speaking in general. Okay, you can put the number in there, like hay 10 sillas. There are 10 chairs. And then uncountable is just the I plus the uncountable noun, things that we cannot count, right? Like liquids in general. So hay leche, there is milk. Hay agua, there is water. Hay arroz, there is rice. In English, we treat those as singular, now that I think about it, because we use there is. All right. Now let's talk about the negative structure. So in here, basically the general rule is just add no hay. Okay. No hay, there isn't or there aren't, and you use it for all of them. Hay un libro? No hay un libro. With countable nouns, no hay libros. No hay sillas en la clase. There are no chairs in the classroom. No hay estudiantes en el parque. There are no students in the park. With uncountable nouns, the same thing. No hay leche. No hay agua en la botella. There's no milk. There's no water in the bottle. No hay arroz en la cocina. There's no rice in the kitchen. Okay, so remember, use no hay for both singular and plural. And you can also use no hay with uncountable nouns. That is actually really cool because it's pretty easy, I think. What do you think? Now, question forms with that. In English, it differs because you have to switch the verb to be with the word there. In Spanish, you don't have to. You just have to add the tone. So you just keep I, and then the thing that you want to ask if there is. Like, well, and when you're writing, you have to add the question mark at the beginning and at the end. That's something that is different, right? In English, we only use the question mark at the very end. So look how in Spanish, the tone is really, really important. ¿Hay un libro? ¿Hay una mesa en la casa? Is there a table in the house? ¿Hay una mesa en la cocina? ¿Hay libros en la mochila? ¿Hay estudiantes en la escuela? ¿Hay leche en la casa? ¿Hay agua en el vaso? So tone is really important. Now, there is another natural order that we also use, and it's having the place where we want to know if there is something, then the word I, and then the thing that we want to ask if there is in that place. So for example, number 3 says, en la cocina hay una mesa. En la cocina is the place. I is there. And then the thing that we're asking, right? Una mesa. That's the second example says, en la mochila hay libros. So the place or the container, whatever we're asking if there is something in there, then the word I, and then the thing. Or en la casa hay leche. The place that we're asking if the thing exists. En la casa, hay is there. Leche, the thing we're asking for, okay? So both word orders are correct. You can use either, whatever you think is easier for you. Both are fine. In this slide, I want you to complete this short practice. I want you to pause the video and take a look at this image. I think I'm pointing it the right way. Look at this image and write sentences about the things that you can see in here. Now, if you don't know words or vocabulary of the things that you see in here, of course, look it up, right? So that's going to increase your vocabulary repertoire, and then bring those sentences to class and see what you came up with. Or there can be really simple sentences like hay una puerta, there is a door, right? Or you can become really creative if you want and specify things more, well, of course, into detail, like hay una puerta de madera en la casa. There is a wooden door in the house. Whatever you think is easier, the thing is that you use I, all right? So that's everything for today's video. Pretty simple topic, I think, but really, really useful. A piece of advice: start practicing. Whatever you're doing at home, just look at something and say, hay una foto. There is a picture. If you don't know the thing that you're trying to say, then look it up. And then you're going to start increasing your vocabulary like that, just with sentences that are that simple, like hay una computadora. There is a computer. Then you can start even adding more things like hay una computadora en la mesa. There is a computer on the table. I hope this was useful. We're going to practice this in class, complete the exercise in the previous slide, and I will see you in class. Bye-bye.